Greetings, saber fans. Your old pal Megtooth Sith, and this is going to be for Megtooth Monday this week. And basically, I got a clocking issue on this saber. This is an MHS Hilt. This is Bobby Susanbach's hilt that he sent me. And basically, the problem we're having on this saber is the buttons are here, but our emitter is lining up here. Now, how I think this emitter should line up is more like this, so that the buttons are on top of the hilt, so it's not clocking right. So you can see when we tighten this all the way, the buttons are here and the emitter is almost like off to the side. We want this emitter clocked more like, we want that emitter clocked more like that. So you can change this with clocking shims, but there's another way. So I'm going to remove this part of the hilt and I'm going to show you. So what we're going to do is we're going to work on the female end. Now, in threaded sections you have a male end with this is male threads. Male goes inside the female. Get it? Sexual innuendos. But at any rate, we're going to work on this female threaded on the inside. How we're going to do that is with progressive sandpaper. So I got here some 80 grit, and then I got 150 grit, and then I got 1500 for finishing. Could go, 1000 and 1500, but I'm not going to be taking a whole lot off this. We want to take some off the female face here. And how you do that is a rapid back and forth, just like this. We're just trying to take some aluminum off that female face. And then I'm going to come here on the 150. Just like this. Now, we're going to have aluminum and sandpaper and all kinds of grit and crap inside the threads. So you don't want to try and thread it together when you have that. So I have, some rags here, and basically I'm going to clean out these threads because I know I don't have to take a whole bunch off this because the clock really wasn't that bad. But, I'm now cleaning out the threads. And let's gently put this back together. Oops. See, it's feeling like there was still some grit in there. Anytime you start feeling grit, stop. You want to make sure you try and get all the grit out of there before you thread them together. You definitely don't want any grit in there when you're threading it back together. That feels better. And I can see I'm still not there. So I made a little bit of progress. We're going to try and make some more.
Back to sanding. It's important that you try to keep it even. I'm running across a bump there or something. We can also use a file. The reason I typically don't like using a file is, it's hard to make sure that you're getting it even. So I think it's okay to use a file for a little bit, but then I think we need to go back on the sandpaper. Alright, so now I'm going to clean out the threads. This is the pain part because you have to constantly be checking your clocking as you're doing this. And, that's the difficult part. I'm cleaning out the threads right now, by the way. Alright, we'll try and put this back together and see if we're getting any closer. Ooh, we're getting closer. So now, here's the top, and here's the center line. So you can see the center line is now just off those buttons. So we just need a little bit more. We're getting close. So, you don't need clocking strips necessarily. The real key to this is to drill your own buttonholes, because then you can make sure they're clocked right on how you got your pieces put together. I know sometimes it's convenient to use the custom saber shop's drilling services, but sometimes it's easier to clock your own pieces and then drill them, because that way you make sure the holes are where you want them. But, the custom saber shop is awesome. And, you know, if you want them to drill your switch hole pieces, that's fine. Just gotta make sure that, you know how to clock. So that's why we're doing this video, making sure you guys know how to clock. Now, once I get it clocking about like I want it, then I'm gonna clean up the end with 1500 grit sandpaper. And like I said, you want to check this pretty often. Still looking like we're still coming through the edge of those switches. So we're making progress on the clocking. You can see we're getting much closer. But the center line is still coming through right on the edge of those switches. But we're getting closer. I just need to take off a little bit more. So the key is, as you're doing this, check it often, but please clean your threads before you check it, because if you don't clean your threads, you're going to have these little chunks of aluminum that you're filing off, or grit from your sandpaper, in your threads. And then that's not good. Bobby's probably like, oh my god, my saber. I'm blowing out the threads. I need to get a clean rag here. I just don't want any burrs or grit, any crap like that in here when we go to test fit our clock. Pretty happy with that. Might have even went a little bit too far, but it's clocking much better than it did. So now the center line, it looks like it's going just to the left of center of our switches, so I went a little bit too far. You know, we actually wanted it to clock about right there, and it's clocking ever so slightly off. What we can do is go back around another full circle. I guess we can do that. Let's show you. See how far we can take this. Let's clean the threads and see where we're at. Risky dog. What are you doing, buddy? What are you doing? Making an appearance in the video? Risky's making an appearance in the video. See my compressor and everything else down here. Oh, Risky dog. He's with me everywhere I go. Alright, so now we're overclocking it. So I'm actually going past center, and let's see how far past center I went. So now, now it's clocking to the left of those buttons. So we've rotated approximately 2 degrees per 9 swipes of the file. It's actually more than 2 degrees, probably more like 5 degrees. So, we'll do about 20 swipes of the file and see where we're at. See where we're at, 25 swipes of the file. Blowing all the crap out of there. Clean the threads again here. So you want to do all this before you install it, of course, which that's why we're doing all this, because this is the next saber I'm going to install, so I want to make sure it's clocking right before I install it. So now you can see we're clocking center is about, going past those switches here is where the center of this is, so we're clocking it around in a circle. We're trying to bring it around 360. So let's go about 25 more swipes and see how we're doing. When we get closer, I'll do fewer swipes, is what I should have done last time. So now I made a mistake. Mistakes are our best teacher. Alright, back to the sandpaper. I know we're shaving aluminum because I can see the shavings on our workbench here and on my hands. And clean out the hilt, clean out the threads. Don't forget to clean out the threads after all your passes. When you're going to test fit, if you're getting grit, then stop. Because what could happen if you get grit in the threads is you could lock the pieces together, and you don't want that. So now we're sideways again. The center of the switch is totally pushing, the center of the emitter is pushing down past the switches. So what we're trying to do is get the emitter so she's lined up. Like, here's the switches on the top. We want the emitter to be on top. We don't want the emitter to be on the side like this. So like when you're holding the saber, you don't see that angled like that. We want it to be angled like that. But right now we're angled off to the other side because we're going around. We're shortening this female piece until she makes a full circle. That's the struggle right now. So looks like we need another, we'll say 30 swipes of the file. know if that sound is making it through to the video, but it's annoying. Alright, back to cleaning the threads out. Risky's watching intently. He's like, what's my dad doing now? He's not playing Frisbee with me. Why isn't he playing Frisbee with me? Because I'm working on the saber. Alright, let's see where we're at now with clocking. You still see we're off to the side, but we're almost all the way around, so let's go 40 swipes of the file, because now we're going around the full circle, we're going 360. Try using the face here, blow out the loose dust that we can find, and we want to get out any particles there. Let's test fit it again. You can see now it's pointed over here, so we're almost opposite of the switches, so we've almost rotated around a full 180 from the switches, so you can see it takes quite a bit of work to get, you know, some little clocking results. Let's go 40 swipes on the file. Oops. I'm going to stop the scene here in a minute because I have to break these scenes up too, because we're up to 15 minutes here, y'all. Now hopefully I'm able to type and read y'all's comments as we do this. I know this is not going to be a very exciting Megtooth Monday, but it's a way to fix clocking without shims. Shims can be sloppy, and sometimes shims don't fit. So now we're almost a full 180 away. We're almost a full 180 away. So here's our buttons. And actually, you know, we're coming back to almost where it was in the beginning, where it was sideways. So we want to slow down our clocking here because we're getting closer. So let's cut back to 20 swipes. Clean the threads. After I check this clock, we'll stop the scene and start another one. Okay, we're almost at the 180 point, so we weren't as close as I thought, so we're at the 180 point. So we're going to keep going. Lucy? Alright. Lord have mercy. COVID. Alright, so you can see there now we're past 180. So here's our switch line, and our center line is over here. So we're past the 180 line. I'm going to do 20 more swipes. Once we get it clocking where it's here, I'm going to slow down so we can get it clocked exactly on center. Let's do 20 more swipes. We're past 180. So you want to be a saber installer, do you? This is part of it that you never see. Fixing clocking. Very exciting stuff. Very exciting stuff. Fixing clocking on a MHS saber. Now, I actually had to do this to fix clocking on my Phoenix Props Star Killer hilts. I actually had to fix a lot of clocking problems on my Star Killer hilts too. So this applies not only in MHS but in all threaded sabers. Alright, we're coming around. We're coming around. She's 180. So basically we're coming around. You can see as we've been going, it's been coming around. So now it's almost exactly opposite again of where we want it. We want it 180 degrees rotated further than it is right now. So right now it's opposite of how we want it. We want this long side even on the button run. So we're about 180 degrees opposite of where we want it. So let's Let's do about 40 swipes and see what we can come up with. Let's just do 20. I'm having to reach around the tripod as I'm doing this. This doesn't make my life any easier. Can't believe I'm filming this whole thing. Like, who wants to see, you know, probably 20 or 30 minutes of fixing clocking issues by the time we get this done? Oh yeah, we're coming in. We're coming back around. And it looks like I need to go a little bit harder on this side. That's the problem with using a file, is it looks like here to the left of the switches I need a little bit more filing action going on. So stand by one. Let's see what we can do there. Alright, clean this out and check it. It's coming around. Looks like we still need to take a bit more material right there. A bit more material right there from the switches to the left side. So let's take a little bit more material off the switch side. From about here to here, looks like it's a little bit tighter. Now, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. Cleaning this thing out. No, I'm hitting my camera here. Trying to get it where it's a little bit more stable. You'll bear with me. Alright. So I'm still a little bit tight right in through there. But you can see it's coming around. The clock is coming around, so it's, you know, it's coming around this way as we keep loosening that. But you can see from the gap that my filing needs some work from the switches to there still. So focus a little bit more there. And we have to be careful because as I fix that, the long spot on this side, it'll clock around a little bit more. Alright. I'm not going to do the sanding until the end anymore. I think I'm just going to do the file work here until we get the clocking close. Looks like it's a little bit more even, but it still looks like I need to take off a bit more material on this whole half side of the switches, but you know, it's coming around, so it's here now. It's off, you know, to the lower side of the switch line, so we're getting closer. But I need to take more material from the switch line here to here. I need to take some more material where it's exposed there. It's too tight. Very exciting stuff, isn't it? Fixing clocking. Cleaning threads. Test fit the clock. Ooh, it's really coming around now. Y'all can see it, and it looks like I've evened up my gap. Although it looks like I still need to take material from here to here, from here to here. So let me try taking some more of that material. We'll do 10 swipes and see where we're at. We're getting there. We're almost there, Bobby. And everyone else. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Bobby's like, this thing's gonna be Shoto by the time Tom's done with it. We can make this a Shoto saber. Oh yeah, look, we're getting close there. And it looks like, almost like the whole front half needs more trimming. So let's focus on this whole front half here, but she's coming. She's coming, boys, she's coming. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, basically I run the material in there up the threads. Much more even gap. Looks like I need to just focus a little bit more from there to there on the front half. But you can see our clocking is almost home, so I gotta be careful now. We're getting close. We're getting very close. I'm almost guessing. Let's clean up this top half. And then we'll just do 5 passes. 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we'll clean the threads. You know, I'm throwing that lefty-loosey out of there, so it's taking all the junk out on my rag. And then I clean the male threads. And then let's try threading this thing together. Very close. And our gap looks really good. Just looks like I need to take off a little bit more from... So you can see it's getting close. So here's the top center of our emitter. So it's getting close. You know, it's getting very close to clock correctly. And if you can look, our gap looks a little bit different on the bottom where we've got more material than we have off the switch side. So let's do 5 more swipes. Well, we'll do the cleaning and then we'll do 5 more swipes of the whole piece. So I know I really need to focus on taking some more material out of that top side that's making contact. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then clean out the threads. And let's give it a whirl. Gap's looking a lot better. And we're getting really close to where I want this thing centered, so we're almost there. We're almost home. Do a new seam. All right, we're back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Clean the threads. It's labor intensive. Getting close and our gap's getting smaller. So I need to take out material there on that side. But she is getting close, so we want to be careful because here's the center and it's already shooting down the side of our switches. So we want to be careful about how much material we're taking off now. Because remember, we clocked all the way around 360 degrees. And it looks like, you know, it has some excess material on the switch side on the right side. And then let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's clean out some threads. And let's give this a whirl. There we go. Oh, we are getting painfully close there. Painfully close.
Our gap's looking good. So I want to be very careful because we're, you know, within a degree here. So I'm trying to be very careful now as we are very, very close. I want to double check that. You want to double check and triple check all your other pieces are tight as we're getting this close. I'm just going to do 2 or 3 swipes after I... 1, 2. We're close, very close. We're near the end. We're at the end. So all I'm going to do now is some cleanup with some very fine grit sandpaper. I'm going to use 1500. That'll deburr this thing, and that might actually achieve our last little bit of clock. trying to get the burrs out of it. Now, this will give us a nice clean edge here on the 1500, like giving it a good polish. So there's no rough edges there where we've been filing. Bada bing, ladies. She's clocking right now. Thumbs on the switch hole. That's how we wanted it. Perfect. All done. Last step is to clean up the workbench. So let's clean all this up, shall we? Get all that aluminum shaving out of there. Our rags that we used. A lot of aluminum dust. All better. All better. Thank you everybody for watching as usual. I really appreciate y'all tuning in on my channel. And as always,